my first active involvement in the party was the 1983 provincial leadership, and I was in my late teens, and I thought, this is fantastic. What an interesting thing to be involved in, and I started to think at that point, this is something I want to be involved in some form or another at some point in my life. I don't think there was ever a precise time when I decided that I was going to run come hell or high water, but it was always something that I was really interested in, and the decision really came when the opportunity presented itself in 2004. But until that time, I knew I was interested. I thought if the right opportunity presented itself, I would run. But there was never a time when I was 100% committed to it until I actually made the decision to run.
Do you think being a politician is still a noble calling?
I do, actually. I think there are lots of aspects to it that are discouraging, and there's a lot of cynicism about it, which makes its way into the way people conduct themselves here. But I still think it's one of the most important things anybody can do.
After taking part in 2 general elections as the leader of a major political party, what have you learned about the political process?
What I have learned is that the only way to deliver a message is to be simple and repetitive. That the public is, for whatever reason, people are distracted, they're busy, they don't pay a lot of attention to what's going on, and if you assume that they know as much as you do, then you're making a big mistake, and that you have to simplify and repeat. And I think that was a big part of the reason for Gary Doer's success, and I think that's probably the most important political lesson that I've learned.
Is that a hard lesson to learn in politics?
It is, because you're so engaged in so many different issues on any given day, and when you're here every day, you get to understand all the nuances of all the issues and all the relevant history that's behind the issues that are being discussed. And you can sometimes make the mistake because you're immersed in it. That means everybody else is, and the reality is that they're not. And I'm not saying I blame the public for not being involved. People are busy making a living and taking care of their kids and paying their taxes and getting their kids off to sports lessons and everything. I understand that. But what it means is that they don't have the time to commit to understanding what's going on. And so the political consequence of that is that the only way you can be successful is by simplifying and repeating.
If you could climb into a time machine and go back in time and change one decision you made as the leader of the PC Party of Manitoba, which decision would it be?
I don't think it's useful to publicly go back and go through that sort of an exercise. I think there'll be lots of debate, and there is lots of debate about what did we do right, what did we do wrong. I mean, the reality is that I'm as frustrated and disappointed as everybody else in the party that we didn't win in 2011. I don't think anybody expected us to win 2007. That was a different context. But I think I wanted to win. I expected to win this time. I think the party had high expectations. And so my frustration and disappointment is that we didn't win. With that said, all of the vital signs of the party are strong. They're stronger today than they have been for a long time. We've got 44% of the vote, which is the highest level since '77. We've got thousands of individual Manitobans donating to our party, the highest number of individual donors in a very long time. We're getting more grassroots donations than the NDP. And we ran a terrific team of candidates this time. I think the strongest team in a generation. So the vital signs are strong. We moved the ball a long way down the field, but we didn't get as far as we wanted. And that's, will eternally be my major source of disappointment.
On the flip side, what part of being the leader of the PC Party will you cherish the most as you leave this building now and go off to the next phase of your life?
Yeah, it's been a tremendous experience and a positive one. And I would say that the thing I will treasure most will be the opportunity I've had to meet people from all over the province, doing all kinds of interesting and tremendous things to build our province. And it reaffirmed my belief that this is a province that's built through individual initiative and individuals, and families, and businesses, and volunteers doing great things at the grassroots level. And there's lots of those people out there, and they're the reasons why the province is as good as it is today. It's not because of government programs, it's because of all of these great individuals. And I've met so many interesting people over the years, people in the north who are involved in, helping kids, learn skills to be successful, people in rural communities, farmers who have adapted to the environmental pressures that they're under in some of the most innovative and progressive ways you can imagine. Those are opportunities you don't get in other jobs, to see those kinds of people doing those types of things. And that's been the greatest privilege I've had. And I've also had the privilege of working with a lot of terrific people here in this building. It's a special place to come to work every day.
While you were the leader of the PC Party of Manitoba, did you ever get any advice from previous Manitoba PC Party leaders? And if so, can you, just one standout that you could share?
Yes, we've had a succession of leaders who have been really constructive and supportive of their successors. I had coffee with Duff Roblin at one point when I was about to begin my leadership campaign, and he provided all kinds of great advice, and in particular expressed really profound concerns about what was happening with Manitoba Hydro and things that needed to be done to get it going in the right direction. And so that's a conversation I'll always remember and appreciate. But I've had the privilege of spending time, had a scotch with Sterling Lyon, where he recounted his experiences through the patriation debate and his debates with Schreier. I've had great support and advice from Gary Filmon and from Stuart Murray, who has been a really been a good friend.
Do you think you'll ever run for public office again?
I would never say never. I can't imagine that happening anytime soon, but I'll never say never, I guess. I've been around long enough to know that making hard and fast statements come back to bite you at some point. But that's not going to be my next step, and it's not going to happen anytime soon.
What would you say to young Manitobans who are thinking of running for public office? Do you recommend it?
I do, but I think you need to go in with your eyes wide open. That it's not enough to just be right on things. It's not enough to just land on what you think is the right policy or have the facts on your side. You have to be savvy enough to understand that in the communications environment we're in, you have to be very disciplined and be ready for unfair attacks. But that's part of it, and even with those, I think it's worth it. It's a great thing to be involved in.
Why do you think so many eligible voters don't vote?
I think it's in the recent campaign where we saw record low turnout. I think it's a function of the negativity and the perception that a lot of what is being said is not completely honest. And that drives people away from the process. That makes them cynical about everybody who's involved. And it was also part of the deliberate NDP strategy, was to suppress turnout by running a really negative campaign. I mean, that was a deliberate part of their strategy to win, which was fire up their base, scare Liberal voters into coming over to the NDP in order to stop us, and then drive down turnout amongst all the other groups.
Final question. What's next for Hugh McFadyen when you leave this building?
I better just keep that down to 2 words. Stay tuned.
Okay.
Right now, the focus is on fulfilling our obligations as oppositions. We've got a couple more days of focus on that. I think we've had a great session. I feel great about where the party is and the state we're in as I hand it off. A few interesting opportunities have presented themselves, but I'm not at a final decision yet. That's coming over the next while. but I will let you know.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.